at the beginning of that montage where he said he wanted to have
all right.
grit, physicality, however you want to put it. We saw the
Here we go. Less
quite a bit of pushback.
minute live stream.
Really, since that whole Ridley Gregg situation, empty net goal. Kevin, I want to ask you this: do you feel the team's identity is starting to change, or is it all just smoke and mirrors?
No, it's starting to change for sure. And I think the Bertuzzi had a great fight last night and sticking up for himself, and that's the way he has to play. And McCabe, like I always liked the edge McCabe played with, and I know like cross-checking the face can't endorse that, but it's the competitiveness. And listen, this game last night, forget about the score. Like this was more of a message sending between both teams. They know they're going to probably play each other in the first round, and when playoff hockey starts, it gets more competitive. Guys that don't maybe finish their checks in the regular season are going to start finishing their checks. It gets physical. It gets nasty. And this was almost a little bit of a, like a kind of like measuring each other. Like, what are you all about? This is what I'm all about. And you know what Reeves can do for Toronto. So obviously Maroon comes in to kind of neutralize him. But I just like the team toughness by the Leafs. Like these scrums, everybody in there together. And it was a lot of different. You don't expect Marner and Matthews or Nylander to even have to think about this stuff. It should be everybody else and let those guys play hockey. And everybody else last night contributed in that part.
Yeah, just quite the turnaround. Earlier in the season, the big story was maybe the lack of emotion and lack of buy-in from Bertuzzi, especially with that game with Boston when Marchand went by the bench. And it's hard, when you're with a team and, he had a good solid run with Boston after the deadline last year, probably one of their better players in the playoffs. And I just didn't feel he was emotionally invested for the Leafs early. And as the second half has progressed, the goals have came. But to me, that was really his introduction to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And with Max Domi and all these other ads and the physical.
Hello, welcome. Just going over Sportsnet coverage. They're just blabbing away right now. Thanks for joining me. Welcome.
But like after you play with him, you grinded with him, you got like Bertuzzi, and then you had to fight him when you played him the next.
Yeah, and go on the AHL, Eric Selleck. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Listen to Biz talk with Biekska. Biekska?
Okay. I broke my crown on my teeth, so I had no chips for a few weeks. Jokes on you, right? Official, okay?
I've only had one teammate I fought after playing with him.
Oh yeah,
Pat Maroon.
Oh no, how do you bet?
The big rig.
Yeah,
the big rig.
So official.
He's coming in. I didn't push him, and I didn't bite his finger either.
You seem like you were one of those savages at the bottom of the pile who would go for an eyeball.
So when we grew up,
maybe bite someone's ear.
You grew up in Fort Duluth like me.
I don't know if you're hearing all this. It's pretty good.
At the ground, so like you sprung up. There's no one breaking it up. So in my NHL career, same thing. The fight goes to the ground. You got to keep going and protect yourself, right?
Yeah, that's all great advice for all you kids out
like
there.
They
stopped you. All right, so the Leafs ready to play their 5th game in 8 nights tomorrow night on Hockey Night in Canada against the Montreal Canadiens. And let's check in with the Montreal Canadiens. And Kyle Bukauskas is a busy man. He just dealt with League Nation. Now he's going to deal with Hab Nation alongside Eric Heindl's back in Broussard. Gentlemen.
Yes, I made my first trade of the day. Luke Fox for Eric Heindl, but I had to retain some salary.
Here we go. Just waiting for a break to talk about some of the trades.
The Habs make the deal for Jake Allen to New Jersey. The goalie triangle is no more. What does this mean for the Canadiens?
Jake Allen just recently has left the Habs for the Devils.
Archambault is going to be used as a number one goalie, as he has been virtually since he signed that contract extension a couple months ago. But the impact that Jake Allen made on these two guys is not insignificant. He leaves Montreal a better opportunity. The Canadiens are hoping he plays as many games as possible based on that pick. And New Jersey has to hope that he can deliver in those games better than he did in Montreal in this 3 goaltender rotation that was probably the worst for him than it was for
so we're just talking about how Allen's going to do in New Jersey.
On our broadcast, he made a big impact on Archambault, on Primo, but also on his younger teammates. A guy that held a lot of guys accountable in that room at a time where you could just accept.
And
they've been competitive.
I'm just looking at my fantasy hockey.
Jake Allen was a big part of that.
Goalie starting list. We get a break here. I'll go over a bunch of the trades. Give my thumbs up, thumbs down, that kind of thing. And let me know how you feel about everything you've heard so far in the comment section below. Comment section is so formal. They should call it something else. It's not a chat because that assumes it's sort of live. So, yeah.
There's a better chance of him staying through next year's deadline than there is of him moving in the summer or whatever it may be.
Maybe the
He's a
like
valuable piece to this Canadians core in that
I don't know.
leadership
If you have any
capacity, but
ideas,
also
just
on the ice
let me
the way he
know
plays. He buys them time
in
potentially
the
for
comment
Logan
section.
Mailloux and David Reinbacher to be seasoned a little bit more in the American Hockey League. And so that's why Kent Hughes was never going to drop his price on this player. I don't expect him to do that in the next 30 minutes.
Any surprises potentially, I think?
Well, with Savard potentially sticking around with that retention slot used, I think that might eliminate the opportunity for Tanner Pearson to go unless the team out there is willing to take on the full weight of his prorated $3.25 million hit. The other thing is young defenseman.
Woo! Woohoo! All right. Thanks for popping in. I haven't put any social media out about this whatsoever because I didn't even know if I'd be able to do this. So you may be the only person who watches this right now. That's my nephew who's currently. Where are you currently? In Berlin? What time is it there? What time is it in Berlin right now? I know I could look that up, but okay, so they're talking to Jake Allen now, how he feels about trading to Montreal. Whoop-de-doo. So I'll just turn that down for a second. Yeah, well, I keep my phone refreshed on whatever some trades. And maybe I can go over it while they're talking to Jake Allen over some stuff that's happened so far. Because even though, Sean, you're the only one watching this currently, people might rewatch this afterwards. And they're like, they don't want to say, oh, that sucks. It's 8:30 at night. That's perfect for you. That's good that they start so early, or 10 a.m. in Toronto, 7 a.m. my time, because you get to watch all of it. So that's knowing how the games are too late for you to catch in Germany. This is kind of a bonus. So are you and Frank sitting down on the couch watching all this as well on Sportsnet or something? I'll let you answer that, and I'll get back to some of the trades that went on here. A lot of them is the most recent one being Wade Allison going to the Nashville Predators for Denis Garyanov. Like, whoop-de-doo. I don't understand that trade. I thought Wade Allison has got a lot of upside. Was surprised Philly didn't stick with him a little longer. He's a much younger kid. Denis Garyanov, I don't see him as a torts player whatsoever. He might be, and could. So are you? So you are in Berlin. Okay, I keep on. You're not with your dad in Czech. Yeah. Okay. I gotta think of you guys being in separate places now. It's my you've overloaded my brain. I can't. It's already short circuiting. Okay, so Bieska, they're still talking to Jake Allen. So I'm just going to go over, keep on going over some of the trades here. I'm just going to refresh my trade deadline tracker. Okay, we knew about this. This is a good pickup for Boston. They acquire Andrew Peak from the Columbus Blue Jackets for Jacob Zubril. They're both of these guys are defensemen. I think Peak has the higher upside here. He's also a right shot who's 6'3", only 25 years old. There are a little stats on him. Peak produced on even strength goal and a shorthanded assist. I'm talking about his last game. Career. What are his career stats? He hasn't scored more than 6 goals or has had more than 15 points. But when you're coming from a bad team, it's hard to take a player's stats, especially his plus minus and his points too seriously, because Columbus has been an awful team for at least a few years now. But I think I really like this because I think he's signed for like another season as well. I want to see maybe as far as 25, 26. So without going in too deep in that, I could check cap friendly here while we're on, and there's something wrong with What's happening in my computer here? It won't let me run Safari and Google Chrome at the same time. That's what happens when you do an impromptu chat. In any case, I think he's signed for at least a 1 or 2 more seasons. So for Jacob Zubril, Peak has so much more upside. Anyway, good move for Boston. Going down the list here, they're still talking to Jake Allen on the panel. Oh, they're done. They're done. Let me just see if they're going to break. Oh, we got a break here.
Yeah, we're just hearing that Matt Dumba in Tampa Bay.
Ah, son of a.
3 months left. We'll see what is going on.
Matt Dumba to Tampa Bay.
Matt Dumba and Tampa Bay. Oh, that's interesting. Not done, but picking up steam. Yeah,
I was hoping the Leafs would have grabbed him.
Okay.
They're still talking.
Okay.
It's not totally done yet.
Listen, they're the second wild card, and it's a tenuous position. The New York Islanders are
Interesting. I would have liked to seen him in Toronto. Not my first or second or third or fourth choice. Obviously, in Matt Dumba going to the Leafs.
He dominates. They're not missing the playoffs.
But if Tampa Bay does land him, that's a good pickup.
He's a bit of a riverboat gambler, so when he's on his game, you can provide him.
That's a good summarization of Matt Dumba, riverboat gambler, because he's played a lot of hard playoff games. He can nail guys in open ice, but when he misses, he can miss big, and you get lost in transition with the puck going in the other way around. And I think they're going to break right now. Yeah, so I'll just turn this down and a little bit for the time being. Okay. We got two people watching now for the time being. Anyway, maybe that'll go back down to 1, maybe like half a person. Okay, so we talked about Boston getting Andrew Peak, Nashville getting Wade Allison. Then we have the Buffalo and Philly pull off a trade. Philly picks up Eric Johnson, a right shot defenseman, veteran, formerly of Colorado as well, to I guess replace. Oh my God, Walker, who they just sent to the Avalanche. Buffalo gets a 4th round pick for that. See, that's not bad. 4th round pick. Maybe that's a little high for Eric Johnson. I mean, you don't want him playing more than probably 15 minutes a night now, but a good bottom pairing guy who's gone all the way to the show. Then we moved to New Jersey, of course, got Jake Allen for a conditional 3rd round pick with 50% retained of his contract. I can't remember if Allen has 1 more year after this or not. I think he may be a UFA after this one, but don't quote me on that presently. Then there was a deal between San Jose and Detroit, which you're like, San Jose acquires Klim Kostin, which is like a pretty decent bottom 6 player, crash and bash kind of guy, for Radim Simic in a 7th round pick. I think that's Detroit maybe trying to make room, for a move. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in the very last minute here, and when I have trades trickling in over anywhere up to an hour, maybe after trade deadline, because they still use fax machines at the NHL headquarters, and those get jammed all the time. You know how it is, right? The fax machine. I remember fax machines. I hated them. And if you ever watch the movie Office Space, you see how they treat their fax machines. That's sort of how I feel about them too. Okay, next deal. The New York Rangers acquire Nick Petan. Do you remember him? Nick Petan, formerly of the Leafs and the Jets, and I don't know, name half the league. He goes to the Rangers. And in exchange, he was in Minnesota. I didn't even know he was in Minnesota. In exchange for Turner Elson. I don't even know who that is. Nick Petan is a utility guy who can play maybe in your bottom 6. You probably only want him on the 4th line, though. He's just a warm body, really. That's all. I mean, I think he's got some decent fancy stats, but I wouldn't call him a playoff performer. Next trade, as we're going down the list here, Nashville absolutely steals Jason Zucker away from Arizona. I guess I wonder if I should have hooked up my mic, my special mic. I forgot to do that, but whatever. I could probably still do it now. Here's my special mic. Yeah, so Arizona got a 6th-round pick for Zucker. What? Now I realize probably one of the reasons is because they didn't have to retain any money, but still I think maybe at least a 4th-rounder for Zucker, or even a 3rd. We're back to the panel here. Let's see if they're just killing time or talking about anything. Okay, yeah, it's just fluff right now. Just a bunch of older hockey players talking about being traded and blah 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 blah. So we'll get back to the trade wire here as I go down the list and see if I can find a connector for my phone. Is this one? No, this won't do it. But you can hear me anyways. So next is Rangers in Pittsburgh are going through a deal. Rangers acquired Chad Rudwedel. I don't know. I watch hockey every day, multiple teams a day. I have no idea who this person is. And the Pittsburgh gets a 4th-round pick. Chad Rudwedel. Maybe that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, let me know if you know who he is on the chat. Sounds like a bottom 6 guy, maybe even more like a 4th liner. Next up, we have the Anaheim acquires Ben Myers from Colorado for a 4th-round pick in 2024. Another guy who I don't know who Ben Myers is. It sounds a little familiar. He's either a bottom pairing defenseman, like a number 7 or 8 guy, or he's a bottom forward. Yeah, he's a forward, shoots left, 5'11", 25 years old only. Really? Huh? From Minnesota. Anywho, who cares? No, that's just depth. Where are we? Where was I? We're talking about. Okay, next up, we have the Florida Panthers who picked up Kyle Pozo for a conditional 7th-round pick. A conditional 7th-round pick, really, in 2024, and which I assume is a prospect named Callie Sujalen. Well, I'm probably butchering that name. You can look him up. Kyle Pozo, a decent depth guy. I don't think he's been in the playoffs since he played for the Islanders years and years ago. So 4th liner, veteran, a nice guy here, former captain, obviously of the Buffalo Sabres. So I think that's decent for Florida to grab. For a conditional 7th and a prospect I haven't heard of. If you haven't done it already, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. What is Sean saying here in the chat? Arizona manages their team like a fantasy owner who isn't returning to the league next year. Yes. Bing. Very nice. I'll give you a little fist bump for that. There we go. Yeah. Why? I mean, listen, Arizona's in the situation they are, with the arena, blah blah blah, and they're just acquiring a billion, picks, as we all know. But when you ship guys out, come on, at least have some respect for your job there. What do you Armstrong? I've seen him in interviews, he actually comes across as quite an intelligent guy with a lot of personality. And this doesn't sound like either of those things. That Zucker move. Anyway, I know Zucker can become injured a lot and blah blah blah, but yeah, I mean, as a Leaf fan, I was thinking about Toronto doing like a Dumba Zucker combo deal, or even a Dumba Bustad, but for a first round pick, plus a fifth, or whatever, something along those lines, or like Nick Robertson and a third. Um, I'm just spitballing here. Still no more new news at the moment. We are now about less than 15 minutes away from the deadline. We're still on Sportsnet. They're chatting, but it's just more fluff right now. It's just more fluff. They're talking to the Edmonton lead beat reporter at the moment, just about their next game and their acquisition. So I'm keeping an eye on this. Plus, I'm updating my phone here. Nothing is new. As soon as Elliot Friedman hops on, of course, I'll crank that up, crank the music up. And if you haven't already, please share this link to some of your friends, family, people you hate even. Probably maybe that's the best one to share this link with. You can tell how bad I am with social media. I don't even have proper terminology. Okay. What's happening here? What happened to my phone? Where's Trade Center? I just lost Trade Center. Just give me a second here. And I lost the viewer. I lost it. Where'd you go? Okay, so where is the trade tracker here? But I just lost my trade tracker. I was looking for more trades, and the Maple Leafs also lost William Legason. If you happen to care, he was a depth defenseman. I'm pretty sure he was a left shot. He was picked up by the Ducks. He was a decent player, maybe he's a young guy-ish too, I believe, or maybe around 24, 25. I mean, he could easily be a 5-6 in Anaheim. So, seeing as how they've been trading away some of their players, I'm sure he'll get into the mix there. And sorry, I'm just trying to fill time here as I try and find. Why am I having so much time finding the trade tracker? That should be like the very first thing I see. There we go, trade tracker. There it is. Beep 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 beep. There's my news, breaking news sound effects. Beep 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 beep. Okay. Speaking of breaking news, I forgot to put my light outside my office. I wish I had like a real Go light, but those are like super expensive. Like at least $300, maybe more. I would love one of those. If you're looking to buy me something for my birthday or for Christmas, please get me one of these. The Budweiser Gold lights. I'd really like one of those, or text my wife and tell her I'd like that too, please. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this outside the door. This will just take a second. Also, as well as my new recording in progress door signs. Oh, look, they're even double-sided because I wouldn't have it any other way. I wanted to make the most of my $4 that I paid for this. Please, yeah, huh? I'm a professional now. Okay, I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, here we go. And I'm back. Yeah. Did I lose anyone? No, I didn't lose my one person still watching. Okay. We're on a break through Sportsnet here, and we've got less than 10 minutes left to the deadline. Again, obviously, it's going to probably keep on running for about an hour, give or take. Afterwards, we'll see how far this goes. I'll try and stay up for at least another hour-ish, I think, doing this. We'll see if, as long as I have one person watching, one person watching live, because I know people will watch this afterwards. But again, I did this very last minute, no plans. I didn't put it up on social media. Nobody knows. And I haven't done a video in what seems like over a month, at least 6 weeks even. Because yeah, kids, really, that's the answer to that. All right. Now, oh no. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Show more trades. So let's talk about some other trades as we move along here. Boston getting Pat Maroon. I really like this for Boston. Obviously, he's going to fit on that fourth line. Everyone's talking about how this is a reaction to the fisticuffs that happened was it yesterday in the Leafs game with them. A lot of fights, blah 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 blah, and that they didn't want a player like that in the lineup. So it's a good move, especially against the Leafs or the Panthers, especially as well. They paid a conditional sixth round pick, and for 2026, really, for a sixth round, and a prospect, I guess, called named Luke Toporowski. Toporowski, that's quite the hockey name. So yeah, moving on. There's probably one of the strangest other trades that I saw here, because I didn't even know this guy was still playing. Malcolm Subban, remember him? Malcolm, the goaltender, the brother of the other Subban. He's still playing in what I thought was Buffalo's minor league AHL affiliate. But in any case, he wasn't. He was actually in St. Louis in their AHL affiliate. That's how much I lost track of the guy. And he went to Columbus for future considerations, which is basically nothing. Okay, we're back to the program here. I'm just going to turn it up for a second. We'll listen here just for a second, just to see if anything new has come up. Oh, we got a trade here. We got a news break.
I saw Biz look so comfortable, and I was like,
He's budget.
This is with Friedman and Merrick at the desk here.
That's the last item that's coming off, though.
So we got just less than 6 minutes to go.
He removes an article of clothing.
Roslovic is going from Columbus to the Rangers. It's a draft pick in return. That's the
Roslovic to the Rangers from Columbus to the
We'll see. Dave, you said we should mention it. We should. Just because it's 3 o'clock doesn't mean it's over. If you're in the queue before 3, it's still eligible to have.
There's a pick involved. I don't know what it is yet. Did I just turn into a little girl there for like 2 seconds?
So Roslovic for the New York Rangers. What do you guys think? I think overall
Panel shaking their heads. I like it. Mikey likes it.
On the back end. Is that what they got there, or am I going crazy here?
Biz is on the Sportsnet panel as well. Biz Nasty, along with BX. Which is a really nice mix. I wish I can get him more often from steal him away from TNT. They're a nice mix, BX and Biz Nasty. Here's another one. Kuznetsov from the Capitals was traded earlier today, I believe, or late last night, to the Carolina Hurricanes for a third-round pick in 2025 and 50% retained. Another one we didn't get to, but Toffoli is sort of the big one of today. He went from the Devils to the Winnipeg Jets. Good pickup for the Jets for a second and third. And they're talking about the Pat Maroon trade, which is a good pickup. Yeah. They're talking about a bunch of stuff I already mentioned, and I lost my other viewer. Oh, just when you thought you had to, they leave. Why? Ruedel. That's how you. Chad Ruedel, a defenseman, went to the Rangers from the Penguins for a 4th rounder. No one's talking about how awkward this Predator trade is with Zucker. That's weird. Anyways, so now they're just talking about trades that have already happened. That was funny. I was just about to. I had Tyler Toffoli trade next in my QE to talk about, and they're talking about Jake Allen. Blah 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 blah. So the Devils for Toffoli got a 3rd round pick in 2024, 2nd round in 25, and 50% retained. And they're still talking about old trades that I've already mentioned. Okay. Next, we've got, and of course, the big one. Oh, talking about the Peak to Bruins.
There it is. So the Bruins adding Peak as well as Pat Maroon today. And then we can tell you this one is now official.
What? 2 Lightning, Matt Dumba and a 7th round pick for a 5th round pick? I guess that's no retention. That's why for a 5th rounder for Matt Dumba. I know he hasn't had the greatest season, but look at the team. Wow, that seems another move by Arizona, getting much less than you think they would be able to get for a player. Zucker for a 6th and Dumba for a 5th. Even though there's no retention, that's new. What? Heindl, Thomas Heindl is going to Vegas. Wow. I'm just going to stay quiet and listen to this for a second.
On the IR, Alec Martinez on the IR. What have they done? Mantha, Hanifin, and Heindl. Biz, you're dying to say something. What's up?
Well, Chandler Stevenson's up for contract, so maybe this is a hedge of some sort. But like, think of how strong they are down the middle with Carlson, Chandler Stevenson, and also Jack Eichel. So like, where does he fit in as I don't know. Is he a center?
Yeah, but he can play. Yeah, center. Give us the scouting report on Heindl. Heindl is a very good offensive player. He's actually pretty good two-way. He's big. He's heavy. He's got a really good shot. Very, very savvy offensive. He's a stud. I mean, there's no way to hide him. He's a stud. He's a stud player.
Wow, Vegas pulls up another huge.
Something very significant going back, though, right?
Leafs got to get Tavares to,
I covered him not long ago.
hurt his back or something.
He should have been, and it's understandable.
Because Vegas is just like unbelievable.
If that doesn't motivate you, like if compete is kind of his issue, is kind of what we're saying gently. But you go to the Stanley Cup defending champion in Vegas, like you're gonna compete.
15 seconds.
In Vegas, I'm sure like he has unlimited potential, unlimited.
Wow, Thomas Heindl to Vegas.
Sometimes you're like,
That's amazing.
A little more consistency because he is when I first saw him, I was like, wow, this guy's going to be great for years.
I think I mean there's a lot of good teams in the Pacific, but I think you gotta give them the edge definitely for trade deadline day week. I think they've done the best. Okay, so the clock is down.
60 minutes, it'll all get hashed out, but that's a big enchilada that doesn't get dropped there. Thomas Heindl.
Wow. Wow. So they got Eichel, Heindl, Carlson, and Roy down the middle. Left wing, Barbashev. Stevenson can also play center. But they have him on the wing in Sportsnet's mock-up here. But on left, you got Barbashev, Stevenson, Cotter, Morelli. Right wing, Marshall, Mantha, Amadio, and Colasar. Amadio. And then Stone's on the IR. Eichel should be back any moment. And then with the defense, Hutton and Martinez are on the IR. No, Hutton's not on the IR. Martinez is on the IR, and of course they just got Hannafin on the left as a new lefty. Wow, Vegas is definitely.
I want to know what's going back in return. Has that been mentioned yet? I mean, there's got to be some sort of a significant thing with Stone and Eichel.
So we've been here for many hours. It seems like at least 5 hours, and I've heard you guys. I heard you say Colorado's the cup favorite. I've actually heard you say Edmonton's the cup favorite. And I heard you say they think it's a Vegas. So I'm a turncoat if you guys. I would say
This is great.
It would be dumb not to pick Vegas, at least out of the West right now. They have made significant moves, and yeah, it seems like every year they're willing to push their chips in the middle to give this team an opportunity to win, and they are just stacked. They're stacked. There's no other way around.
He's staring down a rematch: Panthers versus
Wow.
Golden Knights. That wouldn't be shocking to anyone, I don't think.
No, not at all.
Yeah, Panthers and Golden Knights. Yeah, it looks like it could be a final again.
I would say that. I'm surprised that Florida's done this well. Like I always feel like the team that makes the Cinderella run, the next year they just fall flat. Like everyone was playing out of their mind.
Stone on IR.
They're not going to do that again.
Eichel on IR, although he'll be back. Oh, no, he's not coming back till after the deadline anyway. Stone, Eichel, that's a lot of money. Martinez, it's like you could almost you could roster half an NHL team with that money. You could roster the entire Seattle Kraken, or even better, 2 Arizona Coyote teams with the money of those 3 players. That's unbelievable.
So they're getting a player right in his prime. What do you say? What have you said about him? He's a 3 or 4. Yes. He's a really good, like the best good 3 or 4. He's not a top pairing guy. He can do that for a while, but ideally he's suited for 3 or 4. So we're waiting to hear what the return is. But Tomas Hertl, again, a big body, over 35 goal scorers. Someone who can do a lot of different things. When the Vegas Golden Knights kept waiting for Kelly Crittenden, was waiting in the weeds to do something, and the shoe has dropped. Waiting to hear what the return is there.
Thomas Hertl. No one's even been talking about him at all. It's been so quiet with Hertl. He hasn't been mentioned at all. He must have term still attached to him. So that makes it even more impressive. We don't know what San Jose is getting for Hertl. What does Vegas even have left to give? I got to pull up Cap Friendly here for a second. Anyways, yeah, Vegas could be a first-round opponent for Vancouver. Anyways, they're just talking about fluff right now. I'm just going to Cap Friendly, and I'm looking up Thomas Hertl to see what kind of term he has left here. Thomas Hertl. Has what? No. Thomas Hertl makes 8.137, makes over $8 million. And he's signed. This is the second year of his 8-year contract. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's in the second year of his 8-year contract. He's making over $8 million. How did Vegas do? How did Vegas do this? Unbelievable. Well, like I said, they with Eichel, Stone, and Martinez out, they could roster the entire Arizona and Seattle clubs with those 3 players, with a cap from those 3 players. Wow. So Hertl, by the way, has in 48 games this year has got 15 goals, 34 points, minus 26, whatever means nothing with the Sharks. Last season, in just under 82 games, he had 22 goals, 63 points, minus 36. And then the season before that is when he had a 30-goal season. He played every game, had 64 points. And then his most goals he's ever had in one season was 2018-19 when he had 35. And he also had his most points of his career was 74. So we're just looking at the Western Conference here for a second. as I turn the volume up. So right now, Vegas is in the second wild card spot, and they could be facing the Canucks in the first round. Oh, talk about an early exit. Jesus. Wow. So I feel bad for Vancouver fans if the standings stay this way. That's just, ugh. That's rough. If I was Vancouver, I'd be screaming bloody murder right now. Listening in, I'm listening in here.
Which division is the hardest to get out of? You think about all of them, right? You think about the Leafs in Boston, Florida, and you think about the Metro. Maybe not easy, but maybe like the most favorable to get out. But then the Pacific's a juggernaut. Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg. I don't see one that has an easier path.
I know.
If you had to choose, where are you? Like the Metro to me seems the softest, and well, that's the wrong word to use. Not the deepest. And that's no disrespect to the Rangers or Carolina or even Philadelphia, but it seems like one of those teams goes. I promise it goes. Teams goes to the final. They very well could. They could. But what's the hardest? What's the hardest bit? The hardest division.
I would say the Central. I would say for sure.
Really? Yeah. I say Pacific. Pacific because I think LA is the weakest team out of those four, and they're really good. The Canucks, the Oilers, and Vegas now. Wow. Well, let's take a look at what the Central's done. I mean, the Pacific.
Yeah, my vote's the Pacific. That's the hardest division right now.
Central, no joke here in Monahan.
Although Central, Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado, and they have Nashville in there. But they picked up Beauvillier and Zucker. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, Zucker's a decent ad. Beauvillier, eh. Colorado picking up Middlestat and Walker. Dallas with Tanev. Yeah, and then Winnipeg, Monahan, and Toffoli. So they're also saying, how Vegas maybe purposely held this down to the last minute to try and surprise everyone with this. Okay, they're talking to the Winnipeg coach about the Tyler Toffoli trade. Oh, wow. Okay, that's a huge. I wonder if it's. Okay, I was just about to talk about the Jake Gensel trade quickly, but I think I'm going to try and just go to the top of my screen here to see if the Vegas trade is on my board yet, because I want to see what was given up. It's not on the board yet. So let's just go back to the Jack Roslovic goes to the Rangers for conditional 4th round pick. Again, that's a decent price. Something I wouldn't have mind the Leafs to go after. Tampa Bay got a 7th and Matt Dumba for a 5th round pick in 2027. What are the Coyotes doing? I guess they have to spread out their picks further down the road because they have so many over the next 2-3 seasons. This is incredibly ridiculous. So they don't have the Vegas trade in yet because I guess they don't know what's going back the other way for Thomas Heindl. They're still talking to the Winnipeg coach. Let's get back to the trade wheel here. We're just about to talk about the Gensel trade. So Carolina gets Gensel and Ty Smith, a defenseman who used to play for Jersey, went to Pittsburgh, ended up playing his way backwards into the AHL. Um, as a D-man. Pittsburgh gets Michael Bunting, who was, I think, signed a 3 or 4 year deal there for about $4.5 million. They also got a bunch of prospects that you probably wouldn't recognize: Koivunen, Lucius, Vasily Ponomarev. They're going on break, commercial here, and then they're going to talk about the Leafs again. They got also a fifth-round pick in 2000. First-round pick in 2024. That's conditional. I don't know the conditional on that. And a fifth-round pick in 2024 with no conditions. And Pittsburgh retains 25% of Gensel's contract. So I'm just looking for a Kleenex. I got a little bit of a sinus issue happening here. I'll just turn away for a second. All right. Hope I haven't grossed you up. All right. Tampa Bay acquired Anthony Duclair, as you probably already know, and a seventh-round pick. And San Jose Sharks got a third-rounder, decent, and Jack Thompson. Prospect, I guess. Although that sounds familiar, it feels like I should know that one. Then we go to Calgary and Dallas. Just a player for player swap. Sounds like prospects maybe. Riley Damani goes to Calgary for and Emilio Pedersen goes to Dallas. Then we go to Toronto. This is from yesterday. They pick up this Cade Weber. I think he's a left shot defenseman, but huge, like 6'7", who is not a points guy. He's a hit you in the middle of the ice, open ice hitter, good in the corners, long reach, obviously a PK shot blocker kind of guy. And they gave up a 6th-round pick in 2026. Moving on. This is might be one of the most underrated trades here. But the Colorado Avalanche pick up Yakov Trenin and they pick up Graham Sword. Don't know who Graham Sword is. And Nashville in return gets Jeremy Heindl and a 3rd-round pick in 2025. I thought Nashville just extended Trenin like a couple of days ago, and then they traded him to Colorado. Interesting. Maybe that was part of the deal. To extend him. I think it's a 2 or 3 year deal. I think he's hit double digits in goals this year, so that's good depth scoring for Colorado. That could be one of the low key sneaky trades that could help them with bottom 6 scoring. Another good trade by Colorado was acquiring Minnesota Wild player Brandon Duhaime, another bottom 6 tough as nails guy in the corners. Who could score once in a while. And Minnesota gets a 3rd-round pick for him in 2026. I don't know if he's a UFA or not. I'm just going to keep on going down the list here. But Duhaime, if they could resign him, if he's not on contract for after this season, it's probably a good idea. That's a guy I would love on Toronto as well. Hard as nails, playoff performer. Tough to play against kind of guy. All right, so we're back. I was just about to get into the Troy Stecher trade. Whoop-de-doo. And we're sort of back on Sportsnet. They're updating their odds for Stanley Cup odds. They have to update those after the Thomas Hertl trade because Golden Knights are like at the bottom of the 10 contenders they have on the board there. Oh, here we go. Elliot Friedman.
Okay, so no, it's out. But here's the full deal on Hertl. Hertl goes from San Jose to Vegas. The Sharks are retaining 17% of the contracts. That's 6 years. The Sharks are retaining 17%. The key part of the trade is David Edstrom, who was their first-round pick in 2023. They also get a first in 2025 and 2 third-rounders. Now, Heindl right now, he had knee surgery. He's on LTIR, but he is expected to be back in the regular season for Vegas. That's what it all is. All right, excellent stuff.
So first, an A-list prospect, I think, a blue chip prospect, and 2 thirds. And 17%, if I heard that correctly, retained.
4 draft picks, 4 draft picks, 1 body and 3 draft. Sorry, 1 body, 3 draft picks, and 17% of the salary gets Tomas Heindl from San Jose.
Anyways, they're saying something different than Elliot just said, so I'll confirm that later.
What we're going to talk about, we're going to hear from Brad Trade Living in just a matter of moments. Before we get to Brad Trade Living, and as soon as he steps to the podium, we'll cut to him. It looks like they might be done. It looks like that's it, which means essentially they didn't do anything specifically today. Hold on.
Oh.
I don't say anything yet. Like, just wait until we know for sure, right? Yeah, we don't know for sure. So I'm going to stop speculating, I guess. All right. So, what do you guys want to talk about?
I just want to watch Elliot and Jeff over there, kind of.
But his new pick, he's got a new team.
Oh, yeah. My new winners.
Yes.
The Dallas Stars and their scouting staff. They only had to go over to tandem. You talked about not disrupting the chemistry, right? You don't want to bring in new guys and you don't want to ruffle any feathers. But the Stankoven and Wyatt Johnson, the impact with those young legs that they made, specifically Stankoven.
I'm just listening to this for a second.
He's got a point every single game. So I like what Dallas is doing, and they didn't really have to do much and give up much of the
Stankoven,
future in
yeah.
order to kind of be
Kid that
where
came
they're at.
up is
Definitely
kind
a
of
team to look out for in the West.
All right, so
been really good
Travis
past 6
was up
games.
there at 10 o'clock, and he said, "I guarantee the Habs a Stanley Cup." At 11, he said the Oilers have the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I got them too.
Colorado, the Colorado. I got we're gonna head back to the news.
Oh, wait, here we go. Back to Elliot Friedman.
The Leafs have picked up Connor Dewar from the Minnesota Wild. Don't know what the return is, but Connor Dewar from the Minnesota Wild, now a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's your deal, David.
Okay, Connor Dewar, guys. Everett Silvertips captain. Very, very good player. Hard, 4th line player. Can penalty kill. Tough for his size. Can really skate. He's a really good penalty killer depth guy for the league. So I would agree with 4th line, left line.
That's all we refer to them as honey badgers. You're saying.
Yeah, he's a honey badger.
And he's a nail gun.
He's a guy you want on your team. He's going to play hard. So the cost for Nick Dowd might have been here. The cost, we're not sure exactly what the cost was for Connor Dewar. A little bit less, but you still get that same prototype of player.
Right, and the PK, right? It's no secret. That's an area of their game that they really need to improve upon. So that's very significant for them.
There was a bit of an arms race here for the Bruins and the Leafs. This is going to be fierce if they do meet in the postseason. My goodness. So
Interesting.
Spin from Jeff Merrick. There was another addition. Again, we're going to hear from Brad Trade Living. We're not sure if it's going to be in 5 minutes or in 10 minutes, but we're going to hear from the Leafs GM about what transpired today. Joel Edmondson, Ilya Labushkin. They get bigger and tougher.
Connor Dewar. I like it.
Few days. All right, San Jose. They have all
to Toronto
pending UFAs.
from Minnesota.
Expected them to get
Excuse me.
Hoffman and Barabanov and Kakinen. They're all there.
Okay.
The guy who has 6 years on this deal. Tomas Heindl.
2 Golden Knights. They get Thomas Heindl to Sharks, a 1st-round pick in 2025. David Enstrom, a forward, the prospect, and then 2 third-round picks, 1 in 25, 1 in 27, and then 17% retained on Thomas Heindl, who's on the LTIR right now, but should be ready to go in some point over the next couple weeks. So I like this pickup for the Leafs. Going back to them for a second, they grabbed Connor Dewar. Now I'm looking at his stats. He's in the last his last year, and then he becomes a UFA after this. Oh no, he's an RFA after this, but with arbitration rights. Interesting. He's making only $800,000.
So San Jose, maybe there's some really good moments there for what's been. But Merrick says the draft's really weak this year, so don't get your hopes up.
And then Celebrini kid who's coming up. He's a game changer.
Merrick says the draft's weak. And now Merrick just lifted his head like, what? I didn't say that. All right, again, we're going to hear from Brad Trade Living. Again, trade deadline officially done, but the trades are trickling in.
Okay, so there should be trades still trickling in. I'm on Sportsnet if you haven't heard me talk about that already, and they're going to go live with Brad traveling any second right now. So they're in a commercial break, and let's just look at closer at this Connor Dewar character, who sounds exactly like what they needed in the bottom six. A guy who's tough as nails, who can penalty kill, and he's played some playoff games, 7 total in his career, so not a lot. How old is this guy? He's only 24 years old. Interesting. He's a left shot. Why did Cap Friendly give me the French version? Okay, and he's not that big. He's only 5'10" and only 170 pounds. But apparently he skates really well. He's fast. He's tough as nails. And he's a really good penalty kill guy. So this season in 57 games, he's got 10 goals, 14 points, -6. Not bad for a penalty killer and a bottom six guy on a team that goes through wild swings of winning and losing streaks and is not making the playoffs, obviously. So in 81 games last season, he had 6 goals, 18 points, -5, and he played 6 playoff games with the Wild, and no points, and was a -2. But I like it. I'm gonna look more into Connor Dewar here. I do remember him vaguely. He's obviously not as big as a Duhaime, like Colorado picked up. But because they desperately needed a penalty kill guy, I'm excited about that. Let me know if you happen to be a Leaf fan. My only viewer, and that's my nephew right now. What do you think of Connor Dewar? What do you think of Connor Dewar? I want to look him up on my fantasy draft page as well, because I could see what he's done for hits, etc. Let's see if I can get there before they come back to the Sportsnet panel here and start talking more about any last minute trades that are trickling in, probably over the next, 20 to 40 minutes. We'll see. Connor Dewar. Here we go. All right. So I'm on his fantasy page right now. Let's see. He's got 57 shots on goal, 77 hits, 27 blocks. He's got an average of 1.7 points per game. That doesn't mean anything to people who do not play 20 penalty minutes, who do not play fantasy hockey. Let's see if I can get his average ice time here. What's his average ice time? Hang on with me here. So his average ice time is just over 11 minutes a game. But in his last 3 games, he's been averaging a little less than 15 minutes a game. He also had a goal in the last few games. So yeah. All right, so we're back to the panel here. I'm going to let them talk here for a second. They're just giving each other crap on the panel. That's Versteeg you just heard talking, by the way, Chris Versteeg, formerly of the Blackhawks. Oh, okay, there we go, fluff. Here's the fluff panel. I'll just turn that down. When we get back to a trade, Chris Versteeg, I do like listening to him talk. Though he's got some interesting points. I listen to the one of the podcasts I listen to almost every morning is a JD Bunkus podcast on Spotify. I'm sure you can find it in other places as well. Chris Versteeg is usually a guest on the show every couple of weeks or so, and he has some really interesting things to say. Talks a lot about the Leafs, obviously, but also the rest of the NHL. I'd highly recommend it. The JD Bunkus podcast also talks about just sports in general, but I would say their main focus is the Leafs, and then it's whatever Blue Jays and basketball and the Raptors. Still fluff happening on the panel here, so we'll go to we'll go down the trade board. I'll just continue here until I see something interesting happening. Brad May is also on the panel here at Sportsnet, which is cool, with Chris Versteeg. Anyway, okay, so what was I talking about? Edmonton getting Troy Stecher and a 7th round pick in 2024 for a 4th rounder from Arizona and a 4th round pick in 2027. 2027. And actually, I think that's Arizona did well on that trade. 4th rounder for Troy Stecher. So he's like a number 7 defenseman. I was surprised that Edmonton didn't, and it could, who knows, maybe they still have, but that they didn't go after a better defenseman like a number 3 or number 4 guy. They really needed to bump Cody Ceci down the lineup, maybe even off the lineup. But and they didn't do that. I mean, I did like Henrique and the Carrick pickup, but they really needed a D man, even a Matthew Dumba, right, for next to nothing from Arizona. They're fire sale. Okay, are we going back to Elliot Freeman here? Are we going to commercial? It sounds like we're going to commercial. Okay, we at commercial. All right, so there's some minor things here with the Montreal and Anaheim, Jacob Perreault and Jen Misak, whatever. Okay, Nashville acquires from Chicago Anthony Beauvillier, 3rd line scorer who can at one point, I think at one point maybe he put up 20 goals or 25 goals back when he was with the Islanders before being shipped over in the Horvat trade, I believe. Didn't really do anything much with the Canucks. Then they traded him to Chicago. Now he's with Nashville. And Chicago gets a 5th round pick for Beauvillier. So it's okay, I guess. And that's a 2024. Now we're on the Toronto trade for Joel Edmondson. It's for a 3rd round pick in 2024 and a 5th round in 2025 with 50% retained. And he's a UFA after this season. I felt this costed a little much for Joel Edmondson. I guess you can argue with the 50% retention. That's something. I do like the player, although I feel he's now a bottom pairing guy. He's a left shot, but he can also play the right. I also wanted Toronto to go after a right shot D-man, specifically another besides Lyubushkin, to officially kick Liljegren into the 7-8 spot, because one can argue Edmonton might take out either Brody or Liljegren, one of those 2 guys, because he can play both sides, right? And I'm not even totally convinced they're going to start with Edmonton in the lineup in the playoffs. I guess they're going to see how he plays with the group. But if it was my decision, unless he just pure out sucks, I would definitely bump out one of Brody or Liljegren, who've both been awful in the past, I don't know, couple weeks or so. And Lilligren just is not made for the playoffs. And Brody is usually a good defensive player, even though he's not a big guy, but he usually stinks in the playoffs too. I think last year, who were the players who I was incredibly disappointed in? It was Lilligren, Brody, Yankruk. Yankruk. I was also disappointed in the playoffs, and he's never really had a good playoff appearance. However, Yankruk has been playing really well the last this season in general, and in the past couple of weeks, 2 3 weeks, he's been showing like a meaner version to himself, getting in front of the net, pushing guys around. I was like, oh, okay. He's getting his hands dirty. So I know he's never going to be anything like a in terms of like a Domi or Bertuzzi, but it's nice that to see that edge in him because he's such a useful player during the regular season. Flex seal because he can play anywhere. Oh, we're back to trade deadline with Elliot Friedman here. Fourth round pick in 2026. Not bad. Fourth round pick. Maybe it's a little expensive, but it's 2 years from now. That's for Connor Dewar, by the way. I didn't say that already. Okay. They're just talking to the Montreal Canadiens GM now about some moves. Fluff. And then I think they're going to talk to Brad Trevling soon about what he's done. I think the Connor Dewar trade is the last trade of the day for the Leafs, but we should still be going here for at least another 15. Why am I looking at my empty wrist for the time? For another 15, 20 minutes to see what trades will be trickling in the last other trades. I would really love it if Toronto had another right shot defenseman squeezing in there. Now that they got Dewar, obviously they don't need Dowd to go after Dowd, who'd be signed for an extra year and too expensive from the Capitals. But what kind of right shot defensemen are still left out there? I don't see them making a big splash, right? Unless it's Colton Parayko, which is probably not going to happen, most likely. Jensen would be nice, another right shot from the Capitals. But I think he signed for an extra year, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if the Leafs have the capital and they won't spend a first on that. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Kent Hughes from the Montreal Canadiens is still talking at the moment. So I'll just quickly go over some more of the trades that happened here. The Hanifin trade to Vegas. The Calgary gets Daniel Miromanov. Apparently, he's a big, rugged defenseman. And they also got who's a prospect. I think he's old for prospect though. I think he's 23-ish years old, maybe 24. And he might be playing in their lineup as soon as next game as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he looks like. I think he's massive. Okay, back to the panel here for a second. So that's another guy. So it doesn't look like David Savard's going anywhere. He wants him to mentor the other players. Blah 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 blah. So that's what they're chatting about right now is Montreal. Yeah. So although the Edmonton trade, I already talked about the Edmonton. So Hanifin trade. So Calgary also got a conditional first round pick in 2025, a conditional third in 2025, and they retained 50% of Hanifin's contract. for the remainder of the season. And it looks like Vegas will probably be able to sign him too. They're now talking to the Vancouver GM, who's talking about his lack of further movement. He's basically saying they're getting a bunch of guys back from the IR, which they view as, last minute trades like Soucy, for instance. Probably one of the best low key off-season pickups during the summer. Right shot D. They picked up Soucy and Cole. Soucy is huge. If you don't know him, he's like 5'5". He's like 6'5", around there, I want to say. All right, so they're still talking to the Vancouver GM right now. I'll jump as soon as Elliot jumps back on. I'll turn the volume back up. You get the deal, right? Back to the Hanifin trade. Philly did help retain 25% of Hanifin's contract, and they got a 5th-round pick from the Knights for it in 2024. The Knights just seem to have a bottomless pit of picks, and I just can't believe it's unbelievable. McCrimmon almost became a member of the Leaf staff back when they recruited Dubas, and they were hiring a new GM. They recruited Dubas and Hunter, and they tried to get McCrimmon in, but I don't think he wanted to play second fiddle. And he could have been the GM of Toronto Maple Leafs right now, and he's doing a fantastic job with Vegas. All right, so they're still talking the Canucks GM. We're going to move on to the next trade where that came from March 6th. The Rangers picking up Alex Wenberg. Decent enough depth guy. They got him from Seattle for a 2nd-round pick in 2024, which is conditional, a 4th-rounder in 2025, and they retained 50% of his contract. I think he's going to be a UFA, I believe, at the end of this season. There's the Middlestat trade. Colorado picked up Middlestat. Buffalo acquired Bowen Byram, although I don't know what they're going to do with 3 premium left shot D and Dallin, Power, and now Byram on the left side. They've got to be flipping one of those, and I it's not going to be Dallin. So maybe they end up flipping Byram or maybe even Power in the future. Because the cap and everything and what they might have to pay these guys. Now, I don't think Bowen's making a lot right now. I believe he's going to be an RFA when his contract does end, but he's definitely going to have a half decent raise coming up. Even though he hasn't, he's got a lot of upside. So we'll see, right? A lot of pedigree there. Still talking to Vancouver GM. The other move, of course, was for Colorado was in acquiring Sean Walker and a 5th-round pick in 2026 for Ryan Johansson and a 1st-round pick in 2025. I can't believe they got a 1st-rounder for Walker. I thought a 2nd at most for him. And they also, maybe that was, although it was because they also took Ryan Johansson back, who they promptly waived down to the AHL because apparently Tortorella does not like the dude at all. I think that's when they traded Ryan Johansson to the Predators for Seth Jones when Tortorella was there. I'm sure he had something to do with that. So anyway, going to talk about there's still Vancouver GM is still talking here. And we'll just keep on going down the list here. We're still on March 6th. Edmonton acquiring Adam Henrique and Sam Carrick and a 7th-round pick in 2024 and the rights to goaltender Ty Taylor. Anaheim got a first-rounder in 24, a conditional 5th-rounder in 25, and they retained 50% of both contracts. Tampa Bay got a 4th-round pick in 2025 for retaining 25% of Henrique's contract. And the Vladimir Tarasenko trade, Ottawa picked up a conditional 5th, conditional 5th in 2024 and a 3rd round pick in 2025. And of course, they retained 50% of the salary. Ottawa didn't really have much choice there because I think he had a no move clause, etc. when he signed that 1-year deal, and he told them he wanted to go to Florida, and that was the end of it. Wow, the Vancouver GM is still talking right now. Oh, Sean's heading out. Got to go run, Jose. Great job as always. Thanks, bud. Good to. Thanks for hopping in. If you're still there, always appreciate it. Hope to talk to you soon. Sean is my good friend, and also happens to be my nephew, who's just moved to Europe and just moved to Berlin. So good luck to him there. Yeah. Yeah. Love you, bud. Take care, Sean. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. So right now we're still their Sportsnet is still interviewing the Vancouver GM. He's still speaking. So we probably don't have much time left, like 15, give or take 15 minutes or so, for any new trades to trickle in. We can go back further here on March 5th now, where Vegas acquired Anthony Mantha, massive guy who's having a career year. I think he's close to 20 goals, but he had a lot of potential, but he hasn't really showed it yet. So maybe he'll be inspired. He seems to be inspired so far to play for his next contract. So hopefully Vegas will get the best of him. And even though he's a huge guy, he doesn't really use his body to his advantage. Maybe that'll change when he sees everyone else on the team sacrificing theirs. And Washington got a 2nd rounder in 2024, a 4th in 26, and of course they retained 50% of that. And then I'll go back just a little bit further here. Do a couple more before I refresh the trade tracker, because the Vancouver GM is still at the podium speaking. And I'm talking about New Jersey acquiring Curtis McDermott, apparently the anti-Rempe repellent, after they got the crap kicked out of them by the Rangers about a week or so ago. And Colorado got a 7th rounder for this year, and Zahar Bardakov, a prospect, I imagine. And then lastly, as we go back to February 29th, where the Leafs picked up Ilya Lyubushkin for Kirili Schlepts. I think is it a goaltender? I can't remember. Some sort of prospect. And Anaheim got a 3rd round pick in 2025 and 50% retained. Not a bad price, especially seeing as how they retain money. And Carolina got a 6th round pick from Toronto for retaining 25% of Lyubushkin's contract as well. So I think that's as far back as I'll go right now. I'm just going to refresh my page here. Oh, here we go to the main panel. Okay, Toronto.
All right, from one GM to the next, from the West Coast.
Looks like Brad Shevling's going to talk. We'll just listen in here for a little bit.
It's technically still in the queue here, so I'm not going to get into too much detail other than say we've acquired Connor Dewar. What has attracted us to him? He's a real defensively responsible center iceman. I don't think you can have too many center icemen.
Oh, he's a center iceman too. I didn't realize
he's
that.
Proficient on the penalty kill, 2 areas, a specific area that we wanted to see if we could help ourselves with. And like I said, he gives us more depth in the middle. How we've talked briefly here with Sheldon over the course of today, but a lot over the last few weeks of areas that we'd like to address, and that's where we think Connor fits in with us. He's a guy he's defensively sound. He's a very competitive player, and hopefully he can help us in the penalty kill.
You appreciate the amount of work he's brought the defense score with really last week and Joel yesterday to your liking.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Listen, it's going to continue to be a work in progress, right? It's like
So Dewar will probably replace either.
We've talked at length of trying to improve ourselves on the right side. We were trying to get Joel. Joel comes in. To me, he's a big, long.
So Connor Dewar will probably replace either Reeves or Holmgren in the lineup, or Gregor. One of those three players, obviously, in the bottom six, and having him play center is fantastic as well. I mean, I would think Camp would continue playing center, and then pushing Dewar to the wing. Hopefully, he's a different handed shot than Camp for face-offs. I don't know how good in face-offs he is.
Prior to that, again, there might be a theme there. He's a long defender. I know people might look at his stat line.
They're talking about Joel Edmondson at the moment.
Defense first guy. He's a big body. He moves well, moves the puck well. But his calling card is defending, penalty killing, those types of things. So, he's a guy who's a little bit further along in terms of his development. And like I said,
testing.
Chris Bork really deserves a lot of work on this. This is a guy he's tracked hard. When the opportunity came to acquire him, we didn't, and obviously we're looking to he's with the work team, and hopefully they go on a long run at BU, and then hopefully we get signed up.
Brett, how do you characterize the market overall this year compared to other years?
I thought I put my Toronto Maple Leaf shirt on, and I did not. I just realized that.
Like I said, there was a lot of activity leading up to deadline day, which is not unusual. But there's lots of conversations. There's conversations that you started now that you continue into the summer. Lots of activity. So I would categorize it as a normal sort of leading up to the market.
I'm sorry. How much what you did or didn't do the last couple of weeks is predicated on who likes playing in the first round?
Listen, you're trying to make your team better in the ways that you can. Listen, there's big moves that happen this time, and then there's small incremental moves, and that's what we're trying to do with our teams. There are ways that we can pick away at areas that we think that we need to improve in. I think if you circle one team,
still Brad Chevley talking.
Prepare for this team. We got to get into the playoffs. We got to get into that's our main focus here right now is qualifying. You get in, they're all good teams. Like you're playing a good opponent where whoever you may play, but our first goal, we got some work to do yet, and we still got 20 some odd games to go here, whatever it is, 20 games to go to earn the right to get into the playoffs, and that's goal number one.
How do you assess your team the way it looks now, heading into the rest of the way?
Yeah, there's certainly some areas I really like, but we're still, as all teams are, we're building the game right now, and there's areas that we need to improve upon. We try to address certain areas, but at the end of the day, a lot of the answers are going to come from the guys that are in the room, and that's the reality of the situation, and we've got a group that's driven, we've got a group that's hungry, but we've got a month here to go to put ourselves in a position where we earn a spot, and in the meantime continue to grow our game.
I can't believe they didn't pick up Dumba for a 5th round pick from the Coyotes.
What's it like when you're GM and there's teams around you making all the moves? This year
that kind of irritates me a bit.
Yeah, a lot of stuff in the West, right? I watched it in the West sort of load up in the East and vice versa this year. You have an idea of who's going to do what when you look at cap space, picks, assets, and those things leading into the deadline. Who's armed, and then you go on where your team is. You follow your team and seeing or do you think you've got a great opportunity this year?
Why does the internet suck today?
Line up in terms of the product that's available. Does it fit the needs that you have, and do you have the assets to acquire it? So certainly a lot of big moves. Certainly a lot of big moves out west. That doesn't break my heart. You say it every year though. Really good teams are going to miss the playoffs, and really, really good teams are going to be out in the first round. So, that's the work of the manager here right now, is to best prepare yourselves, for the remaining regular season games in the playoffs at the deadline. And certainly there was lots of moves, as you said, a lot of the bigger ones were out west.
Do you have any further update to Brad on that status efforts?
Yeah, Matt's doing well.
Okay.
Obviously, I wasn't with the team here today, but I've been in touch with him last night and today. But all signs pointing that Matt's doing really well, and we'll continue to see how things go throughout the day. But anticipate he's going to be fine and available for tomorrow.
Oh, Matthew Nyes might be back tomorrow already. That's good news.
You mentioned that a lot of the answers will come from within now that the team has said. What sort of potential do you see moving forward, considering the years your core guys are having? Austin on pace for more than 70, Mitch William having a career here. What sort of potential do you see for the group now moving forward based on what you're seeing from your core guys?
Sure. Well, I think there's great potential for our group. And you're right.
Okay, this is just fluff. This is more fluff now. Back to Connor Dewar for a second. The Leafs picked up last minute here. His shooting percentage is 17.5%. So obviously that's going to come down. But he had 10 goals this season. He's a defensive center. He shoots left. 183 pounds. Okay, that's like a 13-pound difference from Cap Friendly to Sportsnet. Only 24 years old as well. And if I could, my computer would just do me a favor here, and maybe Cap Friendly is just having problems because they're trying to update everything so fast. So, and you got to give them a little slack because there's a lot of things happening at the same time. Let's see if I can find Connor Dewar here. Yeah, left wing and center. Let me see if I can find David Kampf. See if he's left or right-handed shot. David Kampf is also a left-handed shot. So both Connor Dewar and David Kampf are left-handed shots who play center and can play the wing, obviously. Connor Dewar is an RFA. He's only 24 years old, and he's an RFA with arb rights after this season. Interesting. So for what it was, was it a fourth or a fifth round pick they picked up this guy for? A fourth round pick. Maybe not bad with a guy who you have under control as an RFA, so who could become a staple on your PK and your bottom line. He's only making $800K this season. I want to say, yeah, $800K. And we're still talking to Brad Treveling. I think the rest is just fluff here. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that might. We'll keep going here maybe for a little less than 5 minutes to see if anything else trickles in. I don't know what else to do for you than juggle. I don't. I'm a horrible juggler too. Ugh. And the only thing I have more than one of around here is lamps. There's like 7 or 8 lamps in here. Maybe I could juggle some lamps. That'd be more of a destroy the room channel than it would be a juggling channel. If you saw me juggle lamps. Anyway. So I'm hoping as soon as they finish these long-winded general manager interviews, that they'll go back to the panel to wrap it up, and hopefully we'll hear about any new trades. I should check out Twitter. That's what I should be doing because I've been sticking to the trade tracker on Sportsnet, and it's not giving me much more than the Connor Dewar trade. So let's see if I find anything else on here on Twitter. Um, and Thomas Bjornfoot has now been claimed off of waivers twice a season. Game He played 1 game with LA and 2 with Vegas. The Florida Panthers claimed him. Really interesting. Brendan Lemieux from Carolina, formerly of the LA Kings, has cleared waivers. That was about an hour ago. Wow. I mean, he was only ever going to be, like a third liner, fourth liner. I thought he was more valuable than that. Maybe that's just for clearing money reasons. Okay, so it looks like they're going to wrap up the Sportsnet show panel here any minute now. So I'll just stick around for that. Just so there's a bit of a commercial break, and then we'll do that, and then we'll wrap it up. So I'm just flying through Twitter in the meantime to see if there's anything that comes up here. People talking about how Vegas lost Bjornfoot to waivers to the Florida Panthers, which is hilarious. Yeah, I'm just excuse me. A little girl and he came back there for a second. Leaf fans are mad they lost Legason to the Ducks on waivers. Antti Ranta has cleared waivers from the Carolina Hurricanes. Tony DeAngelo, Brendan Lemieux, and Antti Ranta, Jordan Osterley, Evan Cormier, all clear waivers. Huh. The fans are wondering if Gregor was claimed or waived or not. I don't believe he was. The Ottawa Senators claimed Boris Katchuk off of waivers. A left winger, 25-year-old fourth liner. What else we got here? Jake Allenton, Minnesota. What else do we have here? Anything? Anything. I'm gonna have to start juggling soon. Okay. Oh, I think I'm gonna sneeze again. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So they should be back at any moment on the Sportsnet channel here. Um, just a bunch of Leaf fans angry about losing Legason. There's one guy saying he'd rather had Legason than Edmondson. I don't know if I feel that way. Okay, here we go. Back to the channel. See what they wrap up here. Oh, Elliott's.
17 hours strong. So multiple choice. What is Elliott going to get for scoliosis, carpal tunnel, or cataract?
They're showing Elliot Freeman drink Coke after coffee after Coke. Okay, back to Freeman and Merrick.
30 years. Some friend. The Zoolander look there. What's it like to be married to Elliot Freeman professionally?
I've told you this before, David. Elliot's a great bunch of guys. I think there's just one person about the trade, but there's a whole bunch of.
I don't think I've had I don't think I've drank a Coke in I don't know how long. I needed one today. Biz and I had a good dinner last night with Elliot. He was looking at his phone the whole time, and Biz and I were talking about the Leafs Boston game.
We were. Yeah, he was dialed in 17 hours a day. Bravo. Hey, he deserves a round of applause.
I agree. We should get him a trophy. The newsbreakers have done a great job. Jeff and Elliot do an awesome job. The podcast I hear is fantastic. They're great.
I don't know. He's with the tie hand down and the collar undone here. I think he's auditioning for a new role on Chicken.
Oh,
I'm not going to get my pod buddy here.
Well, excuse me.
Bless him.
I'm crashing now too. I think I woke up at 4:30 in the morning.
Maybe you know that.
Go to the gym.
Show. Come on, 32 and you're going.
So do you want to just talk about the Calgary? Since I mispronounced enough names.
Okay, here we go.
You need a new tongue.
We're talking about the Calgary deal.
Nikita Hochuk, the San Jose Sharks, is now a member of the Calgary Flames. A fifth-round pick going the other way. I believe, again, I was kind of get a little funky.
Why are they
Sounds
talking
like
about
that
this?
might be it, but we'll see. We'll hang on and see what's still.
Well, that might be.
Hochuk, I mean, all of the San
That's just stuff left in the queue.
Poor Mark Edwards, last man standing on the blue line, turn the lights out. Hochuk now a member of the Calgary Flames. There you go.
All right, and we're going to hear from Craig Conroy. We're hearing from all the GMs that are made available today. We just finished up with Brad Traylor. So let's put a bow on the Maple Leafs stay, and he kept using the
Here we go.
depth. Likes the depth. Edmondson, Dewar, Babushkin last week. How do you feel? Start with you, Jen. How do you feel? Maple Leafs, are they the team Brad Traylor envisioned?
Well, two things. I think one of his comments was the belief that he believes in them, and it's up to them to put that on the ice and perform well. And the second part of that, you mentioned Dewar. I think that's significant. Right now, the Leafs are only 22nd overall in the league in their PK. So here's a guy who could potentially improve it. Two aspects for me.
All right, we're on the same page because that's what I picked out, that he believes in the group.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, why wouldn't you? They have the 80 points, 19 games left, in all likelihood going to break the 100-point barrier again. So this is a team that you should believe in.
Yeah, depth and also in toughness as well. Like, I don't know what the plan is for Ryan Reeves come playoff time, but they have other guys who can handle business, whether it's on forward with Dewar in the mix now. Of course, Bertuzzi showing he has that element to his
Yeah,
game.
so it looks like Dewar, Camp, Reeves on the bottom line.
To the back end. So I'm sure some fans are a little bit underwhelmed with what they've done, but with what he had to work with and how many prospects in the pool and draft picks, I think I'm happy with where they're at.
And Kat, before we get your thought, I just want to add the important thing he said as well. Matthew Nye seems to be okay. Yeah, so it's not one of these. Oh, God, so your techniques. Go ahead. No, that's huge. And what else can you do, right? Your big pieces are set in Toronto. You have your core forward, you have Morgan Riley. You're happy with your tandem and goal, and your three guys, that is, with Martin Jones. Your big pieces are set. So all you can really do as a GM is add more depth and create a healthy competition in the bottom six. And then playoff time, whether you rotate some guys in and out, there's a competition. You're healthier. you have some options. You go with if McMahon stays on, you keep him in. If not, you go Holmberg. Like you have a whole bunch of options in your bottom six, and it keeps everyone accountable. Like you have to play good if you want to be in this lineup. If Reeves is knocking on the door, right? He's played well since he's been back in biz.
And matchups are important, right? Like if they end up playing Boston, they're not extremely deep down the middle, especially in the first and second line. Like Charlie Coyle is a great two-way player, as well as Pavel Belzaka. But I mean, even with Max Omi in that second line center role, it doesn't scare me that much given how deep Boston is down the middle. So with the chemistry of that
This
line
is nasty,
right now,
obviously.
do you keep them together, or would you probably put Tavares in that second line role if you're starting today?
Not likely. I think I keep that line together and see what they're going to do in the next 5 weeks. The Big Bad Bruins are still the Big Bad Bruins. However, no Bergeron, no Krejci does take on a very Char retired. Char is kind of gone with his cup ring. Sorry, where are we going? The order? Yeah, let's head back down. Case. no, it's Sam Cosentino, Jason Bukala, Chuck Fletcher with their thoughts and perspectives as one. Again, the trade deadline officially finishing in the last hour, so we're waiting to see if any more trades trickle in. No, Sam.
Thanks so much, David.
Okay.
The boardroom has been fast at work on the computers, working the phones. We got everything going on here. Start first with you. Takeaways from what we've seen here over the last.
Okay, well, just listening in here.
Vegas is the biggest
Obviously.
takeaway of the week for me personally. I look at what they've done. Obviously, adding Heindl today on top of everything else. I'm just going through the roster and I'm thinking about these guys that are on LT even for now. But Manta's coming in, Hannifin's coming in. They're on the cusp of not being a playoff team. Let's not forget that. They got to get in first. But what a nice problem to have that on the horizon, even with Martinez going on LT, that you're going to be able to reintroduce to your lineup Heindl, Stone, Martinez, etc. So
Thanks for stopping by as well. Whoever you are, please say hello in the chat.
I have to do some homework on how this all shook out, but that defense there, guys, just
Hannafin and Peter Angelo, Pitcher Angelo, McNabb, Theodore, Haig, Whitecloud, with Martinez on the IR for Vegas. Thanks for the thumbs up. Appreciate it.
Vegas and their work, especially with first round picks. Explain.
Yeah, well, Kelly McCrimmon made the deal for Hannafin a few days ago, and in the deal there's a condition of a 2025 first round pick, and it's Kelly's option whether he holds that pick to use in another trade, which he did today with Heindl, and then he can give Calgary the 2026 first round pick. So it's just a condition I haven't seen before, where a team kind of retains that option even after the trade and maybe pulling back the first round pick to use for another deal. So, creative.
So Vegas's next two first rounders are gone.
He was able to get both Hannafin and Heindl. So pretty impressive work.
Yeah, really
But
good stuff. And
they're probably going to resign
so if you haven't seen it before,
Hannafin,
likely
and they have Heindl
takeaways for you, Chuck,
for the next 6 years.
Yeah, well, just looking at the East, for me, Florida to me is still the team to beat. They had a nice deadline, but I really like the work of Don Waddell and what Carolina's done the last 24 hours. They've added 2 top 6 forwards with Jake Gensel, arguably the best goal scorer that was available at this trade deadline, and Kuznetsov, who's a wild card, high risk, high reward. If he plays the way he has the last year, that's not great. But Carolina and Bob Brennemore have a way of making players play better. I'm expecting Kuznetsov to play better. Both those guys have won Stanley Cups, so I think they did a lot to try to close the gap on a team like Florida today.
Fascinating stuff. You look around Winnipeg with good work. Edmonton's work's been forgotten about because it's been done for a little while, but everybody's seemingly getting better who are already in position to make a good playoff run. Fascinating stuff. Thanks to the boardroom, Chuck Fletcher, Jason.
Interesting.
Work today. DA, back to you.
That Pittsburgh's Cup winning Gensel and Washington's winning Cup winning Kuznetsov are now going to be playing together in Carolina.
As well as Craig Conway. It's all coming up.
Probably not on the same line. Probably. I would assume Gensel will be playing with Araujo. So we're just dragging this out here as we keep going. They're back to commercial break. I think they're just trying to buy some time as well till we find out if there's anything left in the QE for trades. I'm just going to refresh my own QE here, and there's still nothing new. As I shove another piece of chocolate in my mouth, I really need something else besides sugar. We're past my lunchtime. and I've just been eating chocolate and drinking water, which I don't believe is healthy. Pretty sure. Um, I love this commercial. Was it for Hyundai? I think, and their new electric car, and it's about a beer league team whose goalie was sick, and so they were without a goalie, and they might have to forfeit the game. So, um, so they're waiting for an emergency call up to show up, and they're tracking. Yeah, it is a Hyundai commercial, and they're tracking the guy approaching on his phone, and the guy gets out of the car. You see him grab his goalie helmet, and you're like, that goalie helmet looks familiar. And you see him, but you never see his head. The guy driving on the way to the arena, you never see his face or his head. And so, but you see him running down the hallway, and he gets into the locker room where everyone is nervously waiting for him. Um, so they don't have to forfeit the game. And a guy jumps up and is like, "Yes!" because it's Martin Brodeur who just walks in the door. So yeah, I thought that was a cool little commercial for when you're crossing cars with the NHL. I mean, who wouldn't love Martin Brodeur as your beer league emergency backup goalie? I would probably. I was only surprised that more guys in the locker room didn't get up and cheer all at the same time. All right, so I got one piece of chocolate left, and let's. How much? I got a little bit. It's about 3/4 full. So, who do I think won the trade deadline day? Um, I gotta say, or not just deadline day. You could say deadline week. I gotta say Vegas. With I think that's the easy. I think that's the easy one, right? With Hannafin and Hurdle, uh, and Mantha, whatever is fringe, but at least he's big, and he's playing for a contract, so they may get more out of him than he usually has put out in the rest of his career. Um, what else? Who are the other big winners? I guess you could say Carolina's a winner for picking up the winger Gensel. They won that sweepstakes. They desperately needed scoring because basically they're a pretty good playoff team all around the edges and in the corners, all that kind of stuff. So and they picked up Kuznetsov, who might be is a huge lottery ticket, but if he pays off, wow. And we're just going back to Sportsnet here just to see if they're going to wrap it up.
Let's hear from the Winnipeg general manager.
Oh my God. Okay. So they're talking to the Winnipeg general manager. They're obviously still trying to buy time. Come on, end it. That's what you're probably screaming at your screen right now when you're looking at me. Just end it already. The death roll. So yeah, so they're speaking to Kevin Cheveldayoff because they're probably also trying to buy some time to see if there's any other last trades that are sneaking into the barrel here. Okay, a couple. All right, so one new one. The one that Elliot Friedman though and Jeff Merrick just mentioned was Calgary acquiring Nikita Okhotyuk from San Jose for a 5th-round pick in 2024. I don't know who that is. Let's just check up on him quickly. He is. He's got 1 goal, 7 assists. What is he? He's a left shot defenseman, 6'1", age 23. Originally drafted by the Devils. He's got a 2.1 shooting percentage. Was averaging over 16 minutes of ice time on the San Jose Sharks. So yeah, Calgary's looking for bodies to fill out that blue line. They're getting a lot younger, obviously, with Tanev and Hannafin gone. I wonder if that means they traded Shillington as well. I think isn't he a UFA coming up as well? Or maybe I'm not thinking big enough. Maybe I should be thinking Rasmus Anderson, which I doubt. But All right, so the newest trade that just went down was Winnipeg acquiring Colin Miller from New Jersey Devils for a fourth round pick in 2026. So this is depth, um, defense depth for the Jets. Decent, half decent size at 6'1". He's a right shot D, which is always better than the left. He's 31 years old. He's been 8 years in the league. Originally drafted by the LA Kings. He's got a 6.2 shooting percentage right now. He's got 4 goals and 4 assists, and averages just under 16 minutes of ice time per game. So that could be at least the last, or at least one of the last trades, just trickling in at the moment. I do not think Toronto has any more trades coming in. I can turn my light on. I should turn my light on. Switch here. Bing. Oh, there we go. Just kind of looks like a blur for me off the screen. Hopefully that sets the mood. Don't worry, I won't be kissing you. All right, so Kevin Cheveldayoff is still speaking. No surprise there. I wish they could just give everyone like the 3-minute breakdown. I wish they could have done some of these. If there was a way to like pre-record them, and then play them later, and just play the highlights from the interview instead of giving us like over 5 minutes of just mostly fluff from each GM. I know I'm muting these other GMs. It's obviously all the Canadian GMs, and we listened to Brad traveling a little bit, but I'm a Leaf lover, so I'm biased a little, at least a little bit biased. Gonna refresh the. What was I talking about earlier? Oh yes, who do I think are the winners of Trade Deadline Day? So we talked about Vegas. We talked about Carolina, who has the potential to be. Vegas is always probably the biggest winner. Carolina could be one of the biggest if Kuznetsov obviously turns out as well. Obviously, and landing Gensel is big as well. That was a big need for that team. They had to trade away Bunting to do it, which was a bit of a shame for them. I know he wasn't having the greatest year there so far, but besides, scoring a little bit here and there, he also added that element of sandpaper. But maybe they have enough of that. Really, the whole team plays like sort of Brindamore did in his days. So maybe it was something they were willing to sacrifice. What are the other teams do I think did well today? Any team that got a player from the Arizona Coyotes did well today because they basically stole players away from Arizona. And I'm talking about Jason Zucker going for, I want to say, a 6th round pick to Nashville. Then I want to say Dumba going for, what did Dumba go for? Dumba went for a 5th round pick in 2027. Really? It just makes me. It doesn't matter what team what your favorite team is. You're probably mad that your own team didn't offer that to Arizona in the last minute because they would take almost any. How about a 8th rounder in 2029? Yes, I know there's no 8th round, but it's just. That's what makes it funny. And Arizona probably would have taken it. So he was so cheap for Matt Dumba. I can't believe the Leafs did not pick this guy up. Yeah, that kind of makes me a bit bitter. As you can tell, who else did they Arizona? Yeah, it was basically Zucker and Dumba. Those are the 2 big ones that went. And then who else? Boston did okay today as well. I mean, picking up Maroon, and which is instantly going to go on their 4th line and makes them a bit tougher to go along with Frederick, etc. That'll help them against the Leafs, the Panthers, whomever. to a varying degree, but it makes them tougher. Andrew Peak, a right shot D, that should help them up. He's a young kid. Maybe they re-sign him if he's not a re-sign beyond the season. I think he might be. I think they might have him for one more season. And they only gave up a third round and Jacob Zaboral for him. Oh wait, back to the desk.
Okay, finally got rid of that guy. Elliot was bringing me down. Okay, some goalie notes. Vitek Vanacek goes from the New Jersey Devils to the San Jose Sharks. Also a 7th rounder in 2025 involved in this one. Capo Kakinen goes the other way. No salary retention in this one at all. Speaking of the San Jose Sharks, they also
Interesting.
picked up netminder Devin Cooley playing in the AHL Rochester with the Buffalo Sabres organization for a 7th round pick as well. So goalies on the move here to stop the
Interesting for the Devils.
Great stuff as always, Jeff. We're up to 22 trades on this one is trade deadline. Pretty quiet though for the Calgary Flames. We will hear from Craig Conway coming up. The Flames again, just a few points out of the playoffs.
Okay, I think I'm going to call this very shortly. They're going to talk to the Calgary GM in a little bit. But the last little trade that dropped in right there, because we're almost at 2 hours that I've been doing this. Yeah, so the last, I don't know if you heard that, but the Devils traded Capo Kakinen, the goalie Capo Kakinen, who's having a good year for San Jose, also considering it's San Jose, to the Devils for Vitek Vanacek. And I believe there's a pick or two involved in that as well. Nothing high, though. So I'm just waiting for my my Sportsnet trade tracker to pick up on that. I don't know why it's not in the hopper already. Are you gonna make me go to Twitter phone? Are you gonna make me go to? Don't make me go to Twitter. It's not. And I know they call it X now, but it's Twitter. I'm not gonna conform, man. Not doing it. All right. So let's see what Twitter says here about. Okay. So okay, here we go. The Devils trade with San Jose. Capo Kakinen goes to the Devils. The Sharks get Vitek Vanacek in the return. They also made a minor league deal with the Sabres for a junior Sharks goaltender. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else here. Cap friendly. Mason Morelli from the Knights has gone down to the minors. And then we have a bunch of Leaf fans and reporters chiming in here. I'll have to get back to that later. Okay, here we go. More on the Sharks Devils trade. So Capo Kakinen had an 8.32 high danger save percentage, 15th among 68 goalies to play 500 plus minutes. And then Vitek Vanacek was a 7.36 in high danger save percentage, last among the 68 goalies to play 500 plus minutes in the NHL. And I believe Capo Kakinen in the last year of his deal. I'm not sure, but Vanacek had another year attached to his deal, so that's kind of good for the Devils. So because they got out from under that. And there's Elliott's official tweet. But no, it's the cat licking himself. I was wondering what that noise was. And there's okay, we're back to the panel here. Oh, is this for the? Okay, they're just going to the Flames GM for him to More fluff. Okay. And then the AHL goalie. I don't know who picks this AHL Rochester's Devin Cooley from Buffalo. I'm not 100% sure if that means it's from the if it's going to the Devils or the Sharks. I'm not 100% on that, but whatever. Yeah. All right. So that's about. Okay. So it's the Sharks who grabbed Devin Cooley from the Buffalo Sabres for a 7th round pick, originally owned by the Washington Capitals. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Okay. Okay, and then you go through Twitter, and there's also a bunch of um, there's also a bunch of footage of GMs around the league um, doing their after trade discussions here. Uh, yeah, so that sounds about it. I'll just refresh my Sportsnet page here one last time, and yeah, and that's about it. Okay, let's just kill this right here. It's on a definite death roll. I'm hungry. You're probably hungry. And it is Friday, and I'm drinking water for some reason. It's after one. It's about 1:30 p.m. my time, so I think it's late enough for beer. I think so. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it if you hung out or watch this later on afterwards. Please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Helps the channel a lot. And subscribe if you're new. Obviously, that would be great. Come on board. I don't make many videos. I haven't made many videos in the past year and a half because I'm a new dad and everything, and I'm a stay-at-home dad now, and it's just really hard finding time. I will get back on track, just to some degree at some point here. You'll definitely see me for the draft. You definitely see me for trade deadline day, and I may even do a video just talking about the Leaf pickups and and grading that as well later on. Uh, and yeah, but I appreciate a subscribe, a thumbs up, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, to my cause, you can do that through buy me a coffee. You'll see a link on my home YouTube page there. You can donate by a one-time donation of any amount you want, or you can do like a monthly donation from anywhere from like $1 to one clam to 100 to 500, whatever. So yeah, so think about that as well. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my subscribers, especially for sticking with me the last year and a half, 2 years, as the number of content has decreased. I really appreciate that and your patience and understanding. And yeah, thank you for joining me on trade deadline day. I really hope to see you soon. Take it easy.